Did you know Pac-Man's name was inspired by the Japanese onomatopoeia paku paku, a sound that, when spoken, forces a mouth to open and close in rapid succession, much like Pac-Man himself. Pac-Man was created in 1979 by a team of 10 at Namco, led by Toru Iwatani. Iwatani wanted to create a game that would appeal to a broader audience than what was available at the time. Iwatani has stated, all of the computer games available at the time were the violent type, war games and Space Invader types. There were no games that everybody could enjoy, and especially none for women. I wanted to come up with a comical game that women could enjoy. This led the development team to include cute creatures and relatable things like eating. Pac-Man's design was partially inspired by the rounding of the Japanese symbol for mouth, and also by the shape of a pizza that is missing a slice. The original Pac-Man arcade cabinet was released in Japan in 1980 with the name Puck-Man, which is said to be because of his hockey puck shaped design. This name was changed when the arcade machine was brought to the West out of fear the logo would be vandalised to spell an obscenity by changing the P to an F. While planning for an international release, Namco originally contacted Atari to work out a distribution deal for the United States. Atari reportedly turned down the offer because they thought the game was too easy. So instead, Pac-Man was licensed by Midway, where it quickly became one of their most popular titles. Midway's alteration to the original Japanese version contained a series of awkward translations that potentially put English-speaking gamers at a disadvantage. The original Japanese version listed personality traits for the ghosts that were meant to indicate each enemy's unique behaviour. For instance, the red ghost chases Pac-Man, the pink and blue enemies try to position themselves in front of Pac-Man, and the orange ghost chases Pac-Man most of the time but moves towards the lower left corner when it gets close. As such, the Japanese personalities listed were Chaser, Ambusher, Fickle and Stupid. In the English translation, however, these personalities are discarded and replaced with Shadow, Speedy, Bashful and Pokey. Because of this, many Western players assumed the enemies moved randomly and were not aware they could plan their movements based on the colour of the ghosts. The original Pac-Man is regarded as the most influential game of all time. For one, it was the first video game to feature power-ups. Iwatani stated this concept was borrowed from Popeye the Sailor Man, a character that becomes much more powerful after eating a can of spinach. Pac-Man was also the first game to feature cutscenes in between gameplay. According to the Davy Brown Index, Pac-Man has the highest brand awareness of any video game character, recognised by 94% of American consumers. The arcade machine is included as part of a collection in the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., as well as the New York's Museum of Modern Art. In 1982, the books Mastering Pac-Man and How to Win at Pac-Man were both in the New York Times bestseller list. Interestingly enough though, it's not actually possible to win Pac-Man in the traditional sense. The game has no ending programmed and simply increases in speed after each level. After the 256th level, the game is broken by a glitch that makes it impossible to continue. In 1999, the highest possible score of 3,333,360 points was finally reached over the course of 6 hours by professional gamer Billy Mitchell. The Pac-Man series shows no sign of declining in popularity. In 2010, Google celebrated the 30th anniversary of Pac-Man by creating a small playable version of the original game to temporarily replace the website's logo. It's thought that 505 million unique users were active on Google.com on the day the Pac-Man logo went live. Because so many people played the game at work, it's estimated a loss in productivity cost the economy over $120 million. The sequel to Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, was originally called Crazy Otto and was developed as an elaborate enhancement of the original game by a small American company called General Computer Corporation. This modification featured different characters, new maze designs, and extra warp tunnels. General Computer Corporation presented their enhanced version to Midway in hopes of gaining permission to sell it. Fortunately, Midway had grown impatient for Namco to develop a sequel to Pac-Man and immediately purchased the rights to the modification. The game would then be further modified into what we know now as Ms. Pac-Man. Ms. Pac-Man was chosen to replace her male counterpart as a response to the growing female audience the original game had attracted. After the success of Ms. Pac-Man, General Computer Corporation and Midway entered a legal battle over royalties for the game. However, since neither company had obtained permission from the original license holder, all rights were turned over to Namco. Ms. Pac-Man was the first in a series of unauthorized sequels which would eventually lead to Namco revoking Midway's distribution rights for the Pac-Man franchise. These unauthorized sequels sequels were Pac-Man Plus, Baby Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man, and Professor Pac-Man. Midway wasn't the only company in the business of making Pac-Man clones. Pac-Man was one of the most unofficially copied titles in the early 80s, and it's estimated that the combined sales of all counterfeit machines matched the sales of the official machine. Some notable rip-offs of Pac-Man include Hangly Man, Piranha, Lock and Chase, and Snapper, among others. One Pac-Man clone for the Magnavox Odyssey 2, known as Casey Munchkin, was responsible for a legal dispute that established how US copyright law would apply to the look and feel of computer software. Pac-Man was one of the best-selling franchises for its publisher Midway, but despite this, Toru Iwatani sadly never received much attention for creating this popular game. A rumour spread that Iwatani left the industry after receiving a $3,500 bonus for creating one of the most lucrative video games to date. These rumours are untrue. However, in an interview for the publication The Ultimate History of Video Games, Iwatani stated, "I don't recall receiving anything special, although I am told I received recognition in my semi-annual bonus." Even though his bonus was nothing worth mentioning, Iwatani didn't leave Namco. He was later assigned as General Manager of Research and Development. Since the series' debut in 1980, Pac-Man has appeared in over 30 officially licensed sequels and spin-offs. Beside the original, only one of these were designed by Toru Iwatani. This game was Pac-Man Championship Edition, originally released for the Xbox 360 arcade. As a pre-release promotion in 2007, Namco held the Pac-Man World Championship in New York City. 10 competitors from 8 countries were invited to participate, including Pac-Man record holder Billy Mitchell, who was defeated in the second round. The representative from Mexico, Carlos Romero, won the championship and was given a one-of-a-kind Pac-Man themed Xbox by Toru Iwatani himself. While handing over the prize, Iwatani told Romero, "Please do not utilise eBay or you'll have all of Microsoft as your enemy." Iwatani retired after the release of Pac-Man Championship Edition, making it the last game he ever designed. That's all for today, but don't forget to subscribe to Did You Know Gaming and follow Did You Know Gaming on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you also check out didyouknowgaming.com, and if you like this video, be sure to check out our other videos. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Guru Larry. I cover lots of modern and retro video games, especially ones about obscure and often terrible video games that never made it out of Europe, with my Games Yanks Can't Wank series. You might even like my latest video, where I look at famous video game cover art that's been inspired by other more famous works of art. Ta-ra for now!